Okay, anyway. Hey, hello, everyone. Um, here's an unexpected cue into the podcast. I figured we'd just jump right into it, Jimby.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to JSJJ. Gav is taking a break from the podcast for a little bit because he's got some work. Probably be back, probably not. Who cares? You know, we're just talking about movies. So, please welcome, should I say your real name, or?
We'll stick with Jimbi.
We'll go with Jimby. Guys, it's Jimby.
Yeah, you're stuck with me for a while.
You may remember him from such streams as Shane's stream, or Lewis's stream.
Sometimes John's stream.
Sometimes my stream.
Sometimes Blaze's stream.
Known lurker is now known podcast host.
That's what I do. I slowly make my way in.
You make your way in so you can start Finally, now I can chat about movies.
I've been lurking my way into here. I've been doing it for 2 damn years.
I've been playing the long game for too long. I guess I ask every episode to Gav, how was your day, Jimmy?
Better than yesterday. That's for sure. I was in a kind of a not great place yesterday from work, but a couple good things happened. I started up Pokemon Shield, so I kind of have something to just turn my brain off and play. So
I was going to ask what you do, but I remember you're a welder, right?
No.
Huh?
Yes and no. So I have a degree in welding, so I am technically a certified welder. I probably don't have the actual certification anymore since I'd have to redo it. But I currently am a mover for a staging company because I went to work at a job that I initially thought had a lot more welding in it. It turns out it didn't, and only 25% or less was welding, and that was only after the 3rd year I'd actually start welding. And before that was just like all laying rebar and just making buildings, and it was miserable and it was cold. Everybody was an asshole. Construction sucks. And I was just like, hey, I don't necessarily think welding is going to be something I want to do as a job, but more as something I could do as a hobby that may turn into a job. Because in that case...
I figured it's kind of like blacksmithing, you know?
Well, blacksmithing is originally my main focus of what I want to get into.
Oh.
And so learning how to weld and get an idea of how metal works and all of that stuff was a really good intro into kind of figuring out how, you know, a lot of the base stuff is for metalworking in general. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I like this, kind of. It's fun when you don't have boring projects, is the best way to put it.
I mean, that's with any job, you know? I mean, even being in retail or anything like that, you want to be doing something that's just like, ooh, I'm doing something instead of, just standing around, looking around for other customers, you know?
Oh, yeah. I used to work at a manufacturing job where for 10 hours a day I would just do rivets in a big piece of metal. How does that sound?
That sounds that sounds like a job.
Yeah.
I was a janitor at a grocery store for a while.
Oh, okay.
That was my second longest job.
I bet that had like some okay parts to it, but then some very heinous, horrible parts to it.
Poop trail.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The old man that couldn't make it.
Yeah, I think I talked about the poop trail. I think I talked about that on the podcast a couple times. Previous episodes. Before Gav died of, dysentery.
Yeah. Made his own poop trail.
He made his own poop trail. Alright, well, I guess we should get right into it.
Yeah.
So, in lieu of new podcast hosts, we decided we'll watch the first episode. We'll watch what we watched on the first episode, which was Predator. Gav recommended this to me. I recommended this to I asked Jimbi if he's ever seen it. Has not. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Jimbi, okay. What's your initial impressions?
Okay. So starting off the movie, I will say I hate the intro. Absolutely despise the intro. Because it's the same thing that they do with John Carpenter's The Thing, where it's a very unnecessary, like, shot of a spaceship going to Earth. And so it just feels like it ruins a giant, like, chunk of mystery to it. Because, like, the rest of the movie acts like they don't know what it is. And I feel like that's what the audience should feel too, right? But no, they throw a starship flying into Earth because I'm sure some executive was like, they don't know it's aliens. And they're like, that's the point. That's supposed to be their surprise. And they're like, they won't get it. I didn't get it.
The spaceship?
Yeah, or that it's an alien, right? So, like, I'm sure some exec was just like, let's throw a spaceship in the beginning so people aren't confused. And then it just ends up, like, making just, right. Like, it was just an unnecessary ad. And then I feel like if that was taken out, it would have started great. Perfect start to it. I just hate that. Just that chunk of the spaceship going in.
I think the hint at space was fine. I think the spaceship could have been cut out.
Yeah. Like, if it just, like, did, like, a shot from, like, the sun or something and it panned over to, like, Earth or something simple like that, but some, like, kind of dumb-looking spaceship flies over, and then, like, you don't ever see, like, the spaceship again through the whole movie. They just needed to, like, try and get that across. So that's my main gripe with the movie.
The spaceship in the beginning?
Just the spaceship. Yeah, that's my, like, hardest take, because...
Oh, okay. Like, I was like, wow, that's, like, a really hard take on something that's, like, so small.
Yeah. Well, because, like...
it's a fine miniature.
It's... Because they do the same thing with John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, but, like...
Where they unnecessarily add that part to the beginning just so it's like, oh, you're aware it's an alien. But it feels like it just ruins, like, the surprise factor for the first time watching it. I know Predator's, like, been there, and I know, like, I knew so much about Predator before watching it that it was like, oh, I know this scene's probably gonna happen. Okay, yeah, there it is. That's been joked about for how many times? That's been quoted. Okay. So, like, it's like I knew a chunk of Predator before watching it. It's
like watching a trailer before you watch the trailer of the movie before you watch the movie. You know, like, the setup is the trailer. You know, you want to watch the movie from the trailer, and then, you know, it's just. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really think of that as like a too much of like a what's it called? Didn't really think of that as much of a gripe in it, really. I mean, I guess he's got to come from somewhere. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but then again, it's like they don't explain anything besides like showing that ship, and it's like, okay, so it's.
But that's the tease, because they don't really show much besides in like. Here's okay. So in my let me start with a little bit with my notes with why I really like this movie, right?
Yeah.
Here's really what I think about the spaceship. Like this, for one thing about like the spaceship, right? It's kind of just it's not really. I never really thought about it much more than just like there it is, And when you initially watch Predator, when you don't really think about the Predator at all, it's just kind of like I watched it as if it was just like I'm not really thinking about when the Predator comes in, and so it's just a normal standard action movie, right?
Yeah.
It's a solid action movie where it's just like you get like some like colorful characters, you get you get. Well, first, in the beginning of the movie, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger walk in as a U.S. Army, covert ops guy, this big hunky Austrian man.
Yeah.
But there he is, and then and he meets his buddy, Dylan, and he's got to go on a mission to save the squad that's got lost in the jungle. And so he takes his squad of guys, his fellas, We got Dylan,
who's pushing too many pencils.
Yeah, he's been pushing too many pencils. We got what's it called? We got Jesse the Mind Ventura.
Bye, tough guy.
Bye, tough guy. Yeah. Bunch of slap. Not that line.
no, yeah, man. When I started this out, and I'm sitting there like he's like handing just like the chew to everybody in the thing. I was just all like, you know what? I'm liking these guys like Billy, where Billy just kind of like turns and like gives him like a stink eye, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
There's my favorite character.
But then he just like throws that line out, and I'm just like,
there's a character talking to him, his buddy, Hawkins, with the glasses.
With the glasses, okay.
With the pussy jokes.
Pussy, yeah.
To put it bluntly, with the big vag jokes.
I was that was also something I wasn't expecting.
Well, it's the 80s, It's just like it's like this part of the movie just so like beefy macho action.
Right, but I mean, like watching something like I don't know, like Die Hard or like Lethal Weapon or something like that. It's not just all like it's like dumb, muscly action and stuff like that. But I just never think of like somebody just like cracking a vagina joke in the middle of it.
Right.
So I mean, it threw me off, but I was like, yeah, no, this totally fits.
It's like it's these army dudes going in just like, all right, we got another mission, fellas. Let's hop in the helicopter. not anything else. The helicopter.
The helicopter.
And let's head on out to the jungle. Let's run to the jungle. So they're kind of searching, to see because they're essentially like it's these rebels that like took hostages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact mission, but like they need to like save these hostages from an attack after a helicopter crash. And the survivors were taken by the rebels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they sneak up to the rebel base, right? And then they completely and utterly fuck it up with machine guns and weaponry.
That part was really funny to me because I was like, oh, they're really getting into it. They're just taking it out. And then, like, after a majority of, like, everyone's dead,
it's like, now let's save the hostage.
Yeah. And I was like,
I was thinking
what?
about that.
You just fired, like a full-on minigun right into
probably
like
can't hear anything. She's probably deaf, you know? Like,
yeah, seriously. And it's just like they're firing from side to side, like cutting buildings in half, basically.
But
and then like, what is it, Hawkins with the grenade launcher, or was that what was it?
I'm trying to remember other
Poncho.
characters. Poncho's the skinny one that can speak Spanish.
It's either Poncho or Hawkins, who has the grenade launcher, or Medic.
Poncho has the grenade launcher.
No. So one of them has a grenade launcher. I know
Poncho
that.
does. Poncho does. I know Poncho.
Okay.
Poncho has a grenade launcher. There's Billy. Billy's my favorite character.
Billy is my favorite character too.
Where he just like he immediately is just like, yeah, there's something out there, man. You know, like.
Yeah, when he's like, when he's like holding like his necklace thing, and he's basically just staring right at the predator without knowing. I thought that was extremely cool.
I don't know if they like he's like implied that he's like Native American. I didn't want to assume anything. He's got like the headband, and like he's like the way he talks kind of sounds like he's trying to do like an accent of some kind. He's got the
cowboy hat, right?
Yeah, he's got the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I don't know. But let's see, who else we got?
We got Mac,
of course.
Mac is also one of my favorites.
Mac is like great because he just goes insane throughout like the whole thing, and that's what makes him fun.
Also, all the sweat on him.
There's also Anna, the hostage, the one hostage that was alive, who knows something
miraculously.
Who knows something like. By the end, I didn't really understand what her character was. It was like kind of like implying that she like did research on the Predator or something like that.
Well, yeah. So it was. There were stories of like when she was growing up of like certain things happening like this, and then like when she was older,
spoilers,
she
by the way,
witnessed. Guys. Oh yeah, we probably should have said that earlier.
But,
yeah.
I'll edit it in, and we said it earlier.
there you go. Where she was saying that, she like knew or heard stories about stuff like this, and like she was aware of like a demon or like some evil thing in the woods that was doing this kind of stuff, or at least that's what I remember. I could be wrong on that, but. She kind of gives like a small like explanation for like something like this, where she's like, oh, like we're aware of like, and this is like pure evil, and this is just like we don't know what this is,
right? It's something like they're like, oh no, this isn't a soldier, and it's just like we can fight any soldier, bro. And it's just like, but it's not a fucking soldier, dude.
Right. Yeah, and then what is it? Dylan's like convinced it's like 3 different people for the whole movie, even though there's like evidence that it's like, okay, there's no way that like a human could be doing, you know, shit like this. And he's like, nah, it's 3 soldiers. And you're like, did you see how easily you took out that fucking camp?
Oh,
like,
yeah, exactly. Like,
do you think like 3 people in that camp were just like super soldiers that were able to do all of this stuff? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, and that's like that kind of point. Like, it's kind of an action movie then. Like, and then there's some fucked up stuff like where like they skinned the like that was just like, oh my god, like
General Phillips or whatever.
Yeah, but like they don't really think about, there's not really much after that. Like it's kind of gory, right? But you know but they're just like, yeah, let's fuck them up, and then you get the payoff of them just destroying something, just like, whoa, yeah, and like that's after that. That's kind of where like the action movie part starts to die down a little bit, you know? Because it's essentially this is 2 movies, right? It's not exactly 2 hours, right? But it's a little bit there. It's like an hour and 40.
So, I saw it kind of in 3 parts. There's the beginning where it's all like, you know, gung ho. I'm like big bad soldier man. We know exactly what we're doing. Dylan, you better not, you know, mess any of this stuff up because you're on our time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they take out the camp, and then people keep getting picked off, and then it's like a survival horror for like a chunk of it, and you're like, oh, okay, like this is like they're still getting picked off, and this is cool.
Yeah, it's an action movie, then it's a slasher movie, and then it's kind of a like a horror suspense thriller.
Yeah, when it gets to just Arnold trying to prepare traps for like the 4th time against this thing.
Like for what it's given though, it's like a lot of it is like just done so well.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it that, because I mean a lot of
suspense. Yeah.
A lot of the like practical effects in the sense of the gore aspect, I liked a lot, like them being skinned alive. Jesse Ventura getting a hole blown into his chest. Like that whole thing looked really cool. The small details that the Predator would do, like when he used his laser to like heat up the arm spikes and to like cut the person open, I was like, okay, like this is like they're putting a lot more thought into like how people are dying, how people are like doing what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, rather than it being just like, oh, what's the next way this person, like cool way this person can die with like no explanation, or like a very poor explanation.
Yeah.
Like it leads into like the next thing pretty well.
Yeah, and it's weird because like it's the director, excuse me. The director is John McTiernan, right?
Okay.
He's done like some pretty known movies, like Last Action Hero, which is another Arnold flick. Die
Hunt
Hard.
For Red October.
Hunt for Red October, yeah, Hunt for Red October. So some decent films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got some horror under his boot, like this is his second movie, I believe. His first movie was a horror film with Pierce Brosnan, and it was okay, I guess. I mean, like I haven't seen it, but Wikipedia says mixed to negative reviews. So who knows? Maybe we'll watch it one day.
Maybe we could go through this guy's filmography since he only has 12.
Cause here's the thing. If you scroll down a little bit, John McTiernan has a pretty interesting life going on here. So if you scroll down from like on his, so you'll see like directed some good ass movies, right? Yeah. But he also was like wiretapping his wife's phone and his co-producer.
Oh.
And now he's in a lot of debt.
He was probably scared of the Predator, Wasn't sure if it was coming after him.
He was probably hoping that Predators was gonna blow off and just bring him back in, But well, he lost track. He lost his own franchise.
Tough
guy. But no, I mean, I don't know how this man's life is. He lost his $1 billion home. So man. Who knows? Maybe. But they said he might. He has apparently some film projects he's working on, so he might be back. Who knows?
I mean, does he still get residuals for Die Hard since?
I'm sure he does. That? I mean, it means Die Hard,
Yeah.
basically it's like that. It's that time of the year when I'm just thinking about like, hey, Die Hard is basically a Christmas movie nowadays. We could watch fucking Die Hard.
Good.
I mean, not on the podcast. I mean, just in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you seen Die Hard? You probably
Yeah.
have.
I've seen Die Hard. I haven't seen any of the other. Well, I wouldn't say that. I haven't seen the better Die Hard movies. You know, I've seen Live Free or Die Hard, or the kind of crappy new Die Hard movies.
Oh, I've seen Live Free or Die Hard. I've seen Die Hard with a Vengeance. Well, no, I haven't seen Die Hard with a Vengeance. I've seen A Good Day to Die Hard. That one's terrible.
That one is so bad.
And then I've seen the first Die Hard.
I hear the second and third one are pretty good, so I'd definitely be willing to check that out. But
back to
Predator. Yeah.
Anyway, so we did, so basically at some point they're in the woods and they're just like, I split this movie into like a couple parts describing on like the scenes, right? Because there's like some distinct scenes, and like for every distinct scene I put like a new part. Here, let me. I have notes. Wrote them down. So part one I made as regroup, as in like his buddies are all meeting up again. He's just like, hey buddy, how the hell are you? Pushing too many pencils.
Yeah.
Shit. And then part two is the mission. You know, like they start doing mission stuff and like not much. Part three is something is weird. So it's like, oh, they're skinned alive. That's a little weird, right?
Just a tiny
Blow
bit.
them up. And then like they start seeing like something's definitely wrong now, right?
Yeah.
And this is them like, you know, starting to. Part four is them like something is wrong. Part five is like them in the woods running from it and starting to kill off some of the squad members, right? So like two people get like killed off, like Hawkins and Blaine. That's Jesse Ventura's name, right?
That's Jesse Ventura.
Yeah. So Blaine gets killed, and then they start setting, and then part six I just labeled as traps.
Man, the amount of traps in this movie.
There is a lot of traps.
Also, I want to go off on that for just a little bit. One of the things that I found the funniest was like when Mac was setting up one of the claymores, and then he just got like a small little piece of moss and put it on top of the claymore, but the whole claymore is still like completely visible. Like he's just barely trying to hide that thing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I like there's twice that happens, where he like just really shittily like tries to cover up this trap with like still being all like, oh, that's what he's doing. It's like
he's trying his best, okay? Leave him alone.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah, like they said traps and stuff like that, and then like there's a part where then like they're like pulling down the tree. And then, like, super jacked fucking...
oh, yeah. You get to see those arm muscles in movement.
Yeah, you get to see Dutch and Dylan just, like, swole as fuck, just pulling down that tree. And then just scrawny little Poncho, just pulling down the tree as well. What's it called? And then, what's it called? Then there's the part later when they, like, are... waiting for Predator to show up while they're set up trees, and I put part 7 in them trees, cause like they like are like cause like I think Billy hints at it first where it's just like something out there, and then later Mac is like let me talk about like Mac's like weird bromance with Blaine, like
yeah,
this hard right Republican man. Like,
I noticed that too. Like, I was like, I don't feel like this is the guy to be like friends with him. I feel like Hawkins would be the guy
like
that would
that's your
try
best.
to be.
No, like I don't want to assume or anything. Like that's your buddy. Like this guy doesn't seem like he knows jack shit. Like he looks like he's like about to like like piss rocks.
I was making a joke about Blaine, where it's like I want him to like gradually through the movie have more like dip in his mouth.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's just
what I
like
meant.
his cheeks just become more and more full by the time he dies, where it's just like both cheeks are just completely full of dip.
Yeah. Just like, oh my god, like the friggin' dip. Like the amount of dip he puts in his mouth, just like holy crap.
You're like, how do you speak with that?
I'm just like, oh my god, dude, like how does that fit all in there,
Like I get putting like a good amount of dip in your mouth, but like it looked like he took like half the bag because like he was trying to compensate for being a man.
Oh my god, like it's let's see, what else do I have, like honestly, like it's just like he was my friend, and it's just like I guess they were friends, like, and it's just like it's not really anything to really bat too much of an eye at, but it's just like I guess they were friends. Like,
I guess that was something they were.
That's part I didn't really think about that much, but like it was just like one of those things that's just like they would put in an '80s movie where it's just like they're buddies, and that's all that meant. Like, there's a lot of implied like bromance, where it's just like I got you, bro, like. But like Broforce, like would definitely is like definitely inspired.
Yeah.
By this movie. I mean, yeah.
The one that like I definitely saw as like a bromance was Hawkins and Billy, because like Hawkins is still trying to like sit there and make Billy laugh and do that, and I was like, okay, yeah, I like this.
Oh yeah.
And then it's Mac and Blaine, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah, like I love he's trying to like tell all the jokes, and like he's just not doing it like the first couple times, and later he does like the one where just like, hey, why do you have such a big pussy? Why do you have such a big pussy? He's like, why'd you say it twice? He's like, I didn't. Because of the echo.
Yeah. Which that comes into play later.
Which does come into play later.
And I didn't realize that until, like, at the end of the movie, my friend said something about it.
Mm-hmm. Where else are we at? So we did that, and then I would let's go / get to the chopper, because it could be just say let's go, because they're just like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here because it's starting to attack. Couple more people die. Mac dies. Dylan dies. Who else dies?
Which kind of good on Dylan for like.
Everyone basically dies at this point.
Yeah.
Poncho dies. Poncho just gets like hit by a log, and I think that's how he dies, right? No, he gets hit by a log and he's fine. And then he gets.
Well, yeah, that also was like.
He didn't really have he kind of had a lame death. He was just kind of like blasted off screen. It was just like, all right, Poncho, we're done with you.
Yeah, it's like we don't have you in the budget. The rest's got to be Arnold.
That's it, Poncho. We're good.
He's like, we didn't even film my death scene. It's all like, nah, we got it taken care of.
We'll just blast you off screen. The power of modern movies can blast you off. And then I called the part after that because like essentially, whoever gets to the essentially Arnold distracts the Predator while Anna runs away, and Anna kind of gets away. And so part 9 I called Swim Away, because there's an entire part of Arnold Schwarzenegger falling down like 3 fucking waterfalls.
And getting super muddy.
After he got shot by a space a space gun
that apparently blew a hole in
his
Jesse
arm.
Ventura.
In his big beefy arm, and he swam with both arms just fine.
He's a machine.
And yeah, like he just like they show it as if it's like survival, you know, because like he did that, right? And then when he gets to shore, he's just like, oh fuck, like like the exhaustion like of just trying to fight this thing, and like that's like one of like my favorite things that they kind of show is that like Arnold just gets so tired, just like, oh my god, like please just go away.
Like, yeah, I need something. I need something to like help me through this.
Right.
And that's like when he is like laying against like the logs, right?
Oh yeah, and then later, and then what's it called? After that, it becomes just, you know, Arnold versus part 10 is Arnold versus Predator. There's 12 parts in this little song and dance, and it's split 3 acts, 12 parts.
Okay.
Let's see. Arnold versus Predator is basically just the initial. Arnold thinks he's fine, and starts learning stuff about how he can start fucking with the Predator a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, kill him and live, and not die. So he is at like he finally gets down the entire waterfall. And he's like, oh, thank God, I just swam an entire freaking lake.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm okay. And so he gets there, and then the Predator just starts chasing after him, and he learns that after he's covered in mud after he gets there, because he just starts laying in mud. That he can't see it. Can't see him if he's covering his skin with mud or something like that. Because like it looks like that he has like thermal vision, but then just like he has cold ass mud all over him. He's just like, oh, he can't see me. So
I mean,
he starts, he starts learning, and like he's got all the traps. Again,
that's the thing that gets me is it's like this is like the third time that they've tried to make traps from, and like I don't know if it's worked like once, because like what is it when everybody else is like leaving, and he's all like, get me, come on, get me.
oh, and
the Predator's
worked,
just like
though.
walking around the traps
That
and
worked,
stuff,
though.
and I'm just like, I think the worst, like, besides like the last part, the only trap that really worked was the one that hit Poncho.
Oh, it's a log. Yeah, like he had the other log.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, you know, they're gonna make traps for it, but when they do it like 3 times, it's like, man, I don't think this worked after, like, you know, your second attempt.
He steps over it, right, and then he just sets it off right after he steps over it.
That's right.
So it just worked. He's just like, so like the Predator just wasn't smart there. And then what's it called? Arnold versus Predator is essentially 2 parts, where it's just like Arnold versus Predator, where he starts like learning and making like the traps and stuff like that, and then he just the part where essentially he calls him out, and they actually start fighting, and then like the actual part where he triggers the trap is
that roar
as part
was
11.
really cool.
Yeah, and then I labeled it part 11 1v1 me bro.
Okay.
And then finale is like basically the last ending part before the credits.
Yeah.
Is at the end. Essentially, there's spoilers again. Please watch Predator if you haven't already. Everyone probably has, but you know, watch it. So with Predator, they drop the log on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like, Arnold's just like, yeah, what's up, motherfucker? I got you, right? And then I guess somehow Arnold figures out that when he's just poking shit on his wrist, right, before he dies, he's setting off a bomb. So he's trying to explode. And it's like a fucking nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that was always the part that like I knew about that before watching it. And like watching it for the first time now, I'm like, that mushroom cloud is so much bigger than the radius that Arnold could have gotten away from. But
no,
I mean, he took a full blaster shot to. So at the same time, I'm like, you know, this guy.
He had like that thick piece of like cliff that like he hid behind. That was I guess plausible.
Yeah, because I mean, it you don't know if it's like radiation or anything like that.
It might just be a big explosion, I think.
Yeah.
You know? But like you see this mushroom cloud, right? And I named the finale just called "He's Okay, Folks," right? Because it was like it's like a big explosion. It's like there's no way you could have survived. Then it just like they land in literally just this pile of wreckage, right? This giant pile of wreckage, and then you just see like just Arnold Schwarzenegger just walk out, just like like, and
I'm here.
And like, and it's good ending, right? With like him just like, you know, just getting on, just like, oh my god, that was a lot. Like,
yeah. With the ending, I thought like the Predator laughing was really dumb, because I was like, oh, he just sounds like a human now. And then it took me until my friend pointed out that the Predator is just mimicking Billy's laugh from when Hopkins tells him the joke that he finally laughs at. And I was like, oh, that makes it so much more cool. I was expecting it to be like something a lot dumber.
I never really noticed it like that. Like I was eating chips. So I like noticed it more of I noticed he mimicked human voice, and he was like, you know, scanning, like listening to voices, right?
Yeah.
So I thought he was just trying to mimic an evil human laugh, and I was just like, okay, that makes sense. But it makes much more sense now with it just, you know, mimicking Billy.
Yeah. Because like there was that that whole scene of like when Billy's doing that laugh, that like
thermal vision's
like zooming in on him. And so I was like, oh, this scene is so much cooler now.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, yeah, there's a lot to it, you know? And I guess, like, I really just made me think about, what's his name? Just the director. Because just, like, he had all these good movies, and then he just fell so hard from grace.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that he gets back on his feet, because, like, I really think about it, like, a lot of his movies are just pretty dang good, and I could think we could use a good action film if he can, like, because, like, instead of, like, maybe, like, a Chad film, like most of these other movies, but maybe something like that's a little bit more classic feeling.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be good. Yeah.
I haven't had like a good like feeling of like a classic movie for probably a while. But I mean, that's not necessarily bad, because like usually when people try and do like classic movies, they don't really do the job, and it kind of falls flat, and it just feels like nostalgia grabbing, you know? It's just like, okay. I mean, that's that's okay. That's not like the best, but then you get like actual good, like more recent action movies and stuff that try to be their own thing, and you're like, okay, this feels like it works a bit more.
Yeah, like,
But I
this
feel
whole-
having a good classic feeling movie would be good without trying to like nostalgia like grab too much.
I feel like that, like, a lot of premises try to, like, overcomplicate. I guess it's hard nowadays, you
Yeah.
know, to really make a film that's truly original, because everything, it's that, and that's like hard about movies, you know.
Yeah.
And there are definitely more unique ideas, and people have proved that. But
Sometimes
you just
like
need like a good, just like action, you know.
I think that's why John Wick took off so much, was because of just, you know, how simple that premise was of like a guy's dog dying and him just, you know, going back to the roots that he originally had, and to like basically bringing up his whole past to, you know, do that. It was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And like they do a lot of like the action in that, and then like dialogue, and like a lot of the scenes are like really cool, even though, you know, it's just the simplest premise.
Yeah, I agree with that, and to a lesser extent, you know what? I think movies do that. The Kingsman movies.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, like Kingsman 1's really good. Kingsman 2 is all right, but like, you know, and they have a new one coming out. There's gonna be the King's Man, where it's just the origins, I guess.
Yeah, in like what, the Great War era.
Yeah, and that looks pretty fun, you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to watch that one.
It's I guess it's hard to really ask for fun movies, you know, because it feels like everything's trying to be, you know, so out of this world, and like, you know, like the next movie watching experience.
Yeah, and I mean, there is one movie that I feel captures both of those extremely well. That I don't know if I can already suggest my pick for the next movie, but I think that a movie that would be great to talk about and have a discussion on would be Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, I've seen Mad Max Fury Road.
And that one, watching that recently, has been an experience that I definitely feel like we should talk about.
No, I recently watched the two big. Not recently. I basically watched the two big Mad Max movies, right? Which is Fury Road, and it was Fury Road and The Road Warrior, right?
Yep. Those are the two most critically acclaimed ones.
Right. I've never seen Beyond Thunderdome.
That one is that's a fun one, not a great one.
And I've never seen, well, actually, no, I've seen bits and pieces of the first one, but then, like, I haven't, like, finished it.
First one can be, is a bit boring, I'll say, compared to the rest of the movies. If you're going in from the mindset or, like, the view of, like, Road Warrior or Beyond Thunderdome or Fury Road, you're gonna be, like, I think, disappointed with Mad Max 1, but if you want actual like story and like exposition on Max's life and stuff, that's the one you watch, because the rest of them is just like him being a scavenger and him just, you know, being out on his own, doing his own thing, kind of running into trouble, rather than it being all like, oh, this story is about Max. It's all like, yeah, we kind of bumped into this guy and now like he's a big part of what's going on that we're having trouble with. And that's it for like Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, and Fury Road. Well, like the first one actually is about him, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I could go off on Mad Max. Mad Max is one of my favorite series.
That's what I kind of gathered, because I've also played the game, the Mad Max game.
Oh, I love that game.
And like you learn a lot about like, you know, his backstory there with like, you know, his family, and then like being a police officer.
Yeah.
And of course I've also watched it. I think I've like gotten like to the part where like then like I got into like a little bit further and I like fell asleep during it. Like right before like all heck breaks loose.
Yeah. The it's a little weird. I'd probably like to watch it again. To kind of, you know, refresh myself on it, since I watched it once and had like the thought of being like, oh, this movie's not as good as the others.
It's been a while since I watched Fury Road, so I'm down with it. Just so you know.
Yeah.
And this is for all the listeners out there, because he's broken the rules. I'm just kidding. What's it called? We gotta suggest movies that we haven't watched.
We haven't watched. Okay. So. Okay. So if it's movies we haven't watched, then I suggest Thunderdome.
Thunderdome?
Yeah, Beyond Thunderdome.
You want to watch Beyond Thunderdome?
We could do Beyond Thunderdome, and then
okay, I'm down.
We could have, because I would like to do something on Fury Road on it itself, but as not great as Thunderdome is, it is definitely one of the most memorable. One of the most memorable Mad Maxes, and it's really really fun, and there's a lot to it. I think it's just the second half of it kind of is a little disappointing, but that's about it. That's as much as I'll say, so since I don't want to continue ranting and accidentally get into the Thunderdome.
I got you. Well, I'm down with that. Well, what would back to Predator?
Back to Predator, right? We got very sidetracked there.
What's let me see.
You could like connect the dots of like all of the different things we got to lead to that.
But yeah, we basically talked about Predator. There's like, that's basically like we ran through the movie. What exactly? I mean, I have like a final thoughts page.
Okay.
Here are my final thoughts. Hold on, I gotta turn the page again. Here are my final thoughts. Yeah, a really decent action movie, then it's a really decent horror movie. The pacing is pretty dang good. Where it's just like, the beginning is just like stagnant, and then just like goes up, like until like, you know, the ending where it's just like, alright, that's the end, yeah. Calm down, you know. Like, it's just a kind of like, it's still like, it's a thrill ride, you know? It's a thrill ride from start to finish. It's straight to the point. I guess like my real things. Like, I guess Anna didn't really have much to do. Where it's just like she kind of knew about the Predator, but like that's it. Like she,
Yeah.
but like she really didn't have like much reason to. Like the Predator, like just got there. Like, how did she know about it? I mean, I guess she knew, but I mean, I don't know.
That's the part. I made a joke when I watched it where like Anna comes in and I go, oh, there's the love interest.
I'm happy that she wasn't the love interest.
Yeah.
But I wish she had just more to do besides for just curse in Spanish and then
just exist.
Have 2 lines. Okay. Know. Well, that's the first. I guess that's the first episode. Jimbi, how do you feel? Oh, wait. How would you? Wait. Yeah. Before that.
Hey, let me throw in my final thoughts on that.
Before that, throw in your.
Okay. First episode. Skip the co-hosts.
I wasn't thinking. I'm just like.
So the first thing is the thing I mentioned in the beginning, which with the ship. That's my biggest gripe with it. I didn't necessarily get super into it until they right before they took out the guerrilla camp. But it was slowly kind of drawing me in because it was it kind of got the characters you got an okay idea of how they were, and then as they were in the jungle, you got them see them working as a team, and you could tell kind of how each person had their own kind of thing that they had and what they were there for, and seeing how it wasn't necessarily as super gung-ho as I originally thought, where Mac was hey, come here, and then real quickly kills the scorpion, that scene for some reason sticks in my mind. And then other scenes where it's all if you stay or if you make noise again, you're fucking dead.
Oh yeah, because essentially I forgot that Dylan essentially betrays them all and brings them on a mission that they didn't want to go on.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
So it was when it was starting to build the characters, I felt a lot better about the movie. And it built up. Same thing with you, where it's Anna's not. I feel they should have given her more. That would have been a lot better if they gave her something more to do.
Yeah. I just like that. But otherwise, the squad members all had a relationship of some kind with this, what's his name, with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Then it gets to where everybody's being picked off. I liked that. And as you were saying, it progressively builds and builds and builds, and I definitely felt that because by the end I was okay, I'm really invested in this final showdown between Arnold and
that's the best build up to that.
And so it felt pretty good about that. But
rating out of 10?
I'd give it are we able to do halves and stuff? We can allow those? I give it an 8.5, 7.
Yeah, you
or an 8, solid 8.
Yeah, I did an 8.
Because I like it.
It's not perfect.
It's not necessarily. Yeah, it's not necessarily
But it's a very, very, very solid 80s movie.
Yeah. It's not. It's one that like I can see why people were so like into it and why it's been like quoted and like it's such a huge like pop culture deal for so long, and why they keep trying to make movies of it.
Oh yeah, and like that new Predator movie that was pretty rough.
That was very rough.
That was very rough.
My friend is a big Alien and Predator person, so
I love Alien,
which is another one I haven't seen.
Oh,
so
Jimbathy.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Right. But yeah, it's a very solid movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if it's something that like I could rewatch like a lot. But
it's got to be the right time.
It's either got to be the right time, or I feel like it's a pretty decent like have on in the background kind of deal.
Right.
Like it's all like, oh, like you're at a party or you're hanging out with friends and like you're talking to them and you're like, oh, Predator's on, and you're like, oh, hey, like this is like one of my favorite parts, or something where it's just really casual.
Or just watch Get to the Chopper over and over again.
Yeah, just get extremely baked and just replay that one scene.
All right. Well, I think we're repeating ourselves at this point. So,
yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess next time we'll watch Beyond Thunderdome.
Hell yeah! I'm excited for you to watch that.
Solid first episode, Jimbi. You have anything else to say?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I think this will. This might.
Jimbi, you're fired.
Yeah. And spoke too soon.
Well, I just
can't make a sentence, so like, immediately fucking booted.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.